What it is? How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Nicktoons. We're doing a whole cartoon retrospective about some of our favorite cartoons coming from Nickelodeon. We're going to talk about all the things, from the nostalgia, from the classics to the new age classics. Talk about our favorite moments and least favorite moments. We're going to talk about the whole thing. So if you want to hear what we have to say, sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hey everyone, welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. My name is Jonathan, and we hope you're having a great week. I am here with lovely co-hosts, Alex and Jerome. How are you guys doing today? Alex, how you doing?
Trying to figure out where to put my. Sorry, I'm actually sitting at an angle right now because I've been resetting up my desk because I'm gonna get to work from home for a few days. Super excited, but everything's just off kilter just a little bit, so I have to lean a certain way because I haven't adjusted anything properly. I've just been getting equipment to set up. So it's been a busy week for me and kind of tiring, but it's still good, and I'm excited to work from home. I'm super excited not to have to drive every single day. And also today I changed the battery in my car, so I'm very happy and proud I did that. And my sister did.
Wait, are you working
Yeah.
from home every day from now on?
So right now it's gonna be 2 days out of the week. But thankfully it's like Monday and Friday, so I don't have to drive into. So that's nice. So that'll be a nice adjustment because I am not a morning person. You guys have seen me in the morning. I'm just not very talkative and kind of think about that at work too. I just tend to just fly under everybody's radar until about 10. Because I'm not a nice person in the morning. It's not that I'm not nice. I'm just tired. Just that's it. But yeah, I'm excited about that. But yeah, everything's now just a little bit angled weirdly right now, so I'm am I I have to tilt a little bit to my side. It's just weird. Just everything's off enough, and that's bothering me. But how have your guys' week been? How you doing?
How you doing, Jerome?
Life's kicking me around right now. First Lance Reddick got took from us. R.I.P. to Lance Reddick, incredible actor.
Yeah.
I hope his family's doing all right. That was definitely a legit surprise this week. To just
At 60, and they said natural causes, and it's
they say natural causes, but they're not sure what exactly. So they'll probably get
a lot of
news
times
about it later this week.
A lot of times when they do say natural causes, they just mean there's no foul play.
Right, like a medical.
Yeah. It was probably either a medical thing or an accident, but basically, yeah, natural death usually is there's no foul play, so.
Well, they say that he was on the press tour for John Wick 4, and then but in one of the engagements he was supposed to be at, he decided to stay home, but for no particular reason. He didn't share. So I'm wondering if maybe he wasn't feeling well the day before, and then when he was home, that was it. Regardless, great man, great actor. Sad to see him go. If you want to honor him, watch The Wire. That's his. That was his breakout role on that show. So, and then we didn't get to talk about last week, but the Little Mermaid trailer is out. The full trailer now, officially. And it looks as mediocre
Is that part of the reason
as everyone thought it was would be.
I don't think it looks mediocre, actually.
Yes,
I would fight that.
I
don't think
so
so.
Mediocre. The music sounds great.
The
music sounds beautiful. I can't wait to hear the music.
For Disney and all its racism and the way it handles things and the mediocre films that it puts out now and the horrible storytelling, their music is always bomb. You can never say anything bad about Disney's music.
Well, and Halle Bailey and her voice.
The music.
Well, even the racist, songs from back in the day, they got a little kick to them. They're offensive and awful, but like you can still kind of move to them.
But it's like, it just looks like Sebastian looks terrible. Because I know, like, because they wanted him to look like a regular crab, but then I'm sure in their mind they realized, oh yeah, regular crabs have very tiny eyes. Like, it's on stalks, but there's like very small eyes. So then they made his eyes look like cartoon sticks. He looks like Mr. Krabs. But if Mr. Krabs was a real crab, that's what he looks like, and it looks terrible. You should have just given him the regular eyes. The rest of him looks like a regular crab. Why would you not make all of him look like a regular crab? I don't understand. And on top of that, again, same complaint. Where's the color? All of this movie is muted.
They got Halle Bailey. Okay, we got
Bailey
people of color in this
like,
movie.
Halle Bailey is brown skinned and she looked like she needs lotion because the entire show and the entire movie looks muted.
Oh no.
We ain't gonna put disrespect on The Little Mermaid before it even comes out, okay?
Yes, we will.
Reserve your judgment for when it hits theaters.
Right? Why is Javier Bardem her father? Y'all couldn't get another black man to be the father to this
Have
black
you
mermaid?
watched Cinderella, the Brandy Cinderella?
Yeah, and that
the
was
prince
also
was
colorism,
Filipino.
racism too, holding Brandy's parents back.
The prince was Filipino, and Whoopi Goldberg and what's his name? The white dude was his parents. So you're not gonna tell me
that's how much he didn't make an impact. You know who would have made an impact?
No.
Denzel Washington or Lawrence Fishburne. Or I don't know who else would have been that role, but definitely somebody who's not James Earl Jones. James Earl
like
Jones
you just said
perfect.
Denzel Washington. I feel like
they
you
still
would
have had a Filipino child.
Are you talking?
The point is,
First off,
Little Mermaid
Brandy had black parents.
Is looking like it's gonna be yet another middle of the road Disney live action remake to me. All right, with great
Victor Garber.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah,
Victor Garber is his name. Victor Garber is his name.
Is this like legitimately? I need to watch this trailer. Is this like is this Flounder?
I think so.
Is that what he looks like?
Maybe.
Or is that just a normal?
Is that just a fish?
I honestly wasn't.
Is that just a fish? Because like I saw the crab one, and yeah, it looks like a crab. But like, is that? Did they do that to like? Yeah, they're just a fish.
It would look even weirder, and we would have even more complaints if they had an actual animated fish in the film.
You know what they should have done? Not made this movie.
I mean,
I'm gonna
both
watch
of you
this
have
movie.
great points.
And yes, that is Flounder, by the way. That is what he looks like.
Oh, they could have like colored a fish.
Just to
make Treasure Planet. You've got the money and the time. Make Treasure Planet or make Atlantis.
I still have to watch Treasure Planet. I should watch that this weekend. I should give that a go. How about you, Jonathan? How's your week going other than The Little Mermaid?
One last thing.
Oh, no.
Also,
okay.
No, the only although the good thing, I was mostly because I was working there, but I was at the premiere opening of the Hidden Worlds Like exhibit at the Museum of Pop Culture. So if you live in the Seattle area, come check it out. It's a exhibit dedicated to showing off all of the cool like puppetry and stop motion work that goes into making all the Leica films. So for those who don't know what Leica films are, the films like Kubo and the Two Strings, Coraline, Box Trolls, Paranorman, like
wasn't Book of Life? No, that wasn't. Oh, that was computer.
Book of Life's animated.
Yeah.
But yeah, come check it out and see you get to see some of the puppets up close. You can't touch them or nothing, but you get to see them like in glass boxes in some of their sets and stuff like that. I was at the opening party. Funny enough, ran into Cleo Thomas.
Oh wow!
Party, got a picture with him. That was really cool. He's a nice guy. I was working, so I didn't get a chance to like really like have a conversation or nothing. but still, go check out Hidden Worlds if you get a chance. It's gonna be here till like next year, so you got plenty of time to make a trip over to the Museum of Pop Culture. Check it out. It's fun. It looks good. Yeah. All right, that was my last thing.
Okay, I'm glad we ended on a good note.
Yeah.
My week was cool too. It went by pretty fast. On Wednesday, I went to a Survivor watch party. Bryson Wen presents. They're two former players who host watch parties for Survivor like every single week. Right now, they're doing a tour and they're going to a different city every single week. There were a whole bunch of Survivor players there, a whole bunch of just reality TV players or former contestants there. Some of the Netflix shows, Perfect Match, which I've been into. And funny enough, Devin Werkheiser, Ned from Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, was there. And
Oh,
yeah, we talked to him for a minute. I got a picture with him. And never thought I would meet Ned from Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide and find out that he was a
that's
Survivor
that
fan.
guy you took a picture with. I couldn't figure out who
Yeah.
the white man was.
With the beard.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was looking at that photo. I'm
'Cause-
like, I recognized him enough where I'm like, I thought I was like, maybe he's like been on Survivor and like that's why I'm like recognizing him, or like maybe he's been on something and I like knew enough, but I didn't like try to Google it. And I was like, he's somebody, and I know he's somebody.
Yeah, my
It's so
friend.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, no, I'm good.
I was just gonna say, my friend pointed him out. I wouldn't have noticed him because he saw like the side of him or like the back of his head. He's like, "That's Devin Werkheiser," and I'm like, "Oh snap!" And of course, I had to talk to him. So, yeah. Nancy Classified School Survival Guide was on Nickelodeon. And speaking of Nickelodeon, today's episode is Nicktoons. Inspired by our episode last week where we reviewed Rugrats in Paris and we kind of talked about, Rugrats and Nickelodeon in general. We thought it would be fun to reminisce, take a look back, be nostalgic, and watch some old Nicktoons and
I
talk
remember
about
the
it.
one I was going to pitch to. That's not on Paramount Plus, and it's a shame. LT Gray. That was the one I was gonna have you guys watch.
Oh my god, we should have
Isn't
watched.
that a
yeah.
newer one too?
It's a
No,
No.
that came out in like the 2000s.
Oh.
The Book of Life crew actually, or at least the art director, or the concept artist, one of the two. Somebody who did all the designs for LT Gray is the person who did the designs for Book of Life, actually.
I will say with LT Gray, I think it is early 2000s. When we're talking about like classic Nickelodeon cartoons, where is that time framing? Like what years? 'Cause
Well, I
I
feel
would say
like-
classic
like-
would be like 90s to like 2006 or 7. For my
Isn't Sandra and Craig
reference.
past that?
It is, but we didn't say this was a classic Nicktoons episode. We just said this was a Nicktoons episode.
Yeah, because I started thinking about it when I was watching Danny Phantom, which was the show, one of the shows I picked. I was like, when was this show actually airing? I'm like, it feels like a newer one, but then
That was
from
2004. Well, it
2007.
started in 2004, but ran through 2000. Yeah,
No, it started-
2007.
I thought.
It ended in 2007. It started in
Oh, it ended in
2004.
Oh, okay, then I got that mixed up. But yeah, Danny Phantom, when I was watching the other cartoons, and I don't know, it's because, okay, and thanks, Jerome, for picking 2 fucking pilot episodes. After I
Why are
literally
you
said-
mad about that?
I literally said on the last one as we were leaving, I don't like pilot episodes.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
Well,
don't
too
roll
bad.
with
You're
those.
gonna watch them.
And then
Well, you only watched
Jerome
one,
straight up
but
is
you
like,
know.
hey, here's 2.
And plus,
So
I didn't think
basically-
you could make
ba-
it through an actual
for-
regular Invader Zim episode.
I
For
barely
the-
made it during this one.
Right. For the audience, this week we sent each other 3 episodes of different Nicktoons. We all chose different Nicktoons for each other to watch this week.
And we all failed watching them completely.
That's not true.
But we failed.
I watched almost all of them. Technically
Same.
I watched
Same. The only one I didn't watch.
The
only one I didn't watch.
Sanjay and Greg is the only one I didn't watch, but technically I did watch it just with my eyes closed.
And you missed a good one too. Y'all both owe me Sanjay and Craig, okay?
Whatever. You owe me Danny Phantom then.
I watched 15 minutes of it, and it was a 15-minute
of a 49-minute episode, Jonathan. That's barely watching it.
This is just like Arcania.
Arcane.
Now you're just on purpose, just saying like completely wrong name.
The fact that you are just now understanding that I'm doing this on purpose says that it must have been bothering you pretty badly.
I mean, you say a lot of words wrong, Alex. All right.
That's actually pretty fair. Yeah, no, I do. I listen to because I am aware that
you're like that episode of. You're like the episode. What just happened right now is like the episode of SpongeBob where Plankton's roasting this whole entire family, and then Plankton gets to the grandma and he's like, "Yeah, grandma, you should go lie in a hole somewhere." And she's like, "You're probably right." That was Alex right now. She's like, "To be fair, you're."
I'm like, I know what I do, and I hear myself do it sometimes. I can catch myself. But other times I'm just talking, it goes too fast. And I think there was there was a TikTok, somebody called me out on it one time because I said Star Trek. Star Trek. But I just kept talking and yeah, I know what I said afterwards.
But
I mean, fair.
Yeah, we all chose 3 episodes. I chose the first episode of Invader Zim, first episode of Chalk Zone, and the first episode of the 5th season of All Grown Up as my episodes. Yeah.
And I chose Sanjay and Craig, season 1, episode 3, which nobody watched. I also chose Hey Arnold, season 1, episode 19, and Rocket Power, season 1, episode.
Here, I have a question for y'all, actually, real quick. How did y'all pick y'all's episodes, by number and season? Because most of them were wrong. I didn't know they were either normally an episode.
No, mine were right.
No, yours weren't. Yours, Sanjay and Craig and Hey Arnold were right. There's one that was I forget the other one right now. Rocket Power was wrong.
Well, I gave you the full titles.
No, the titles helped because without them, I would have definitely watched the wrong episodes.
No, Alex's were wrong.
Alex's was just all the way wrong on it.
I literally use whatever website I found. I don't even know anymore.
No, you just that. Okay, that explains it. Because I'm like, y'all, you clearly didn't go to Paramount Plus to look at these.
No, I looked on Wikipedia. They don't, because Paramount Plus had a different order than some of the episodes. Paramount Plus didn't even list the Danny Phantom episode as its title. They just listed it as Danny Phantom. On mine, at least.
Yeah, on streaming sites they do that because there's a
Why
couple
are you going to Wikipedia?
shows that
Go to the wiki. The wiki always has the best information. Everybody know that. You gotta go to the Danny Phantom wiki to find out what episodes are what. That's what I did, and I was right on the money every time.
That's because you chose the pilots, okay?
No, I'm talking about Alex's episodes. There is no season 3, episode 22. You literally picked her episode, season 4, episode 1. It doesn't exist.
There's not even 22 episodes.
I literally Googled shit. I just Googled it. I didn't go to any credible website. I was like, okay, whatever.
I scrolled down when I was
right.
This is the Fairly Odd Episode. I scrolled down. I'm like, what is 21 episodes? There's not even 22 episodes.
Openly admit I put no effort into actually finding the proper season. I was like, I'll trust this website. It's fine. If not, there's the title. The guys are smart enough to find it. No big deal. And honestly, I didn't even look at the season and episode when I was looking for my own shows. I was like, Miss Dimsdale, and that's how I searched for it anyway. So I was like,
See,
I didn't think about
that's
it.
why I picked pilots, because it was easy for you to find.
No, bullshit. You picked pilots to aggravate me. And in my defense, there is a national Adderall shortage. So I have only so much focus on things. You can only expect so much out of me right now.
It's all right. The true crime here is that I had to watch Invader Zim.
I know. Oh my god.
Y'all gonna stop hating
Oh,
on my
really-
show.
I
all
thought-
right?
Really quick.
I-
Wait, really quick. Let me tell what I picked. If my phone
Okay.
will reopen. I closed it in anger. No, I didn't. So I picked. I won't say I guess my seasons and episodes because I messed them up. Fairly Odd Parents, Miss Dimsdale, and Danny Phantom, The Ultimate Enemy. I actually didn't. I forgot that was a movie because I was looking up episodes to kind of remind myself. So it's technically a two-parter. It wasn't like the movie; it was a two-parter. And The Wild Thornberries, Nigel Knows Best. So those were the episodes I had, picked.
Well, I was
But
gonna.
let's go to
we'll go to
bashing
ultimate. When we
Invader
get to
Zim.
Ultimate Enemy, yeah, I was. We'll get to it, but yeah, yeah, I loved rewatching this again. It reminded me of what I loved about cartoons back then, where it was at that age. By the time Invader Zim came out, I love how fast paced it is. The show kind of just moves. And it doesn't. Although I will say, I was like, I didn't realize how much Invader Zim screams the entire show. He screams a lot for a lot
He
of the
does.
show. But I love the creativity and stuff. Which that show was created by. I got to look up his name, but it's the same guy who did the comic book, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. And so it's a really.
It did feel very. It did feel very. I don't think
Homicidal,
I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Invaders Zim. and it
It's
did feel
that's
very
where the art
comic.
style
I
mostly comes from. Is
remember
like
a friend
you know.
forcing me to watch it. Like I came over to her house and she's like, "We gotta watch it," and like I was like, "Sure, whatever." But then I
Yeah,
didn't like it.
Jonan Vasquez, I think is his name, but he does a lot of really dark like comic books and stuff. And so the fact that he got this show made and greenlit is kind of crazy.
Well, around it was like early 2000s, right? Where Invader Zim came out. There were like weirder shows coming out. I feel like at that time they were more darker. They felt more like the teenager age of cartoons. Like you had the 90s where they were really simple, like Chalk Zone, Doug, SpongeBob, and then they got into like their teenage years. Like later episodes of Fairly Odd Parents, Invader Zim. Trying to think of other ones. I was just looking at all of them too. Just like Danny Phantom too, where they just like dealt with more life issues than the other cartoons did, and they did less hidden messages. Like the life lesson of the episode was more put out there and in front. Like the episode with Danny Phantom and bullying, it's heavily implied that the ghost originally did end his own life in a way because of the bullying. It was so heavily applied in that particular episode, and just everything like that was just. I felt like a lot more darker in that area.
Well, it says here, well, at least on the Wikipedia page anyway. It says, prior to the creation of Invader Zim, Nickelodeon desired a series to suit its 11 to 15-year-old demographic. Nickelodeon producer Mary Harrington was searching for something that had a similar edge to the Ren and Stimpy show when she came across a comic book called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and was impressed with the art style and character designs in the series. Harrington contacted the creator of the comic, then 22-year-old Jonan Vasquez, who had zero experience in animation at the time, and asked him if he would like to pitch an animated series to Nickelodeon. Vasquez accepted the offer. And then made.
So they reached out to him. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those shows where it's just like it's so creative and interesting. But that's my other thing is like I'm surprised. I still to this day am surprised that Nickelodeon is the one that picked this show up because of how because the pilot is rather tame compared to where the show goes, because and it almost feels like Jonan Vasquez, the creator, like wanted to test the waters with the pilot to see what he could get away with, because to see if they would even go for it, because there's an episode, and I was gonna pick it, but I was like, I don't know, this might seem a little too gross. There's an episode where now that you guys have seen the pilot, where Dib tells Zim that he knows he's not alien because he has X-ray goggles, and Zim doesn't have any organs, like human organs. So he's like, I'm going to prove to the world that you're an alien because you don't have any human organs. So Zim literally goes around the school stealing kids' organs to the point where he's like fat. He's like a beast with just a series of organs. There's one part where he spits out an intestine and then sucks it back up like a spaghetti noodle. And it's like, this is a kid's cartoon, and we're watching this green alien essentially steal organs from children. But it's like that's Invader Zim, and there's tons of episodes that are dark like that, and it's interesting that Nickelodeon was like, not only are we going to keep this on, it's going to keep it on for multiple seasons.
Well, they'll keep anything
Well,
that's getting ratings.
yes, and similarly, Sanjay and Craig is also very look. I'm gonna be mentioned. This is the result of your actions, okay? Because
It's just the way you mentioned it. Nothing led up to Sanjay and Craig in any way, shape, or form.
it is,
Yeah, you're.
but it's
it
a
was just kinda
very
weird. Go ahead.
like grotesque kind of show, and it's very dumb. But it's very dumb in a way that it's smart, because it is so dumb. The show is so dumb and stupid that in a way, it's kind of smart. Like, you think this show can't get any dumber, that it becomes smart. You kind of think, why is this on a children's television network? The children of our future, the youth of our future, are not going to benefit at all from this show. But in a way, that's the beauty of it, because it is funny, it is smart. The animation is great. I enjoy the animation, and now I want to watch more Sanjay and Craig on Paramount Plus. Yes,
Also, what do you mean
you guys,
you're amazed that something so dumb would be on an animated network? Tons of cartoons that come out currently are really dumb and get on a cartoon or on a network.
They are,
of some
but
kind.
if you watch Sanjay and Craig, it is next level dumb. Watch it. It is so
I already
dumb.
see a
It's
still
good.
from it. So, whoop. I mean, that man has giant calves. Like, what's going on there?
Yes,
See,
there's an
this is
episode where they try to get like giant calves, and even the snake has like a giant calf. I yeah, yeah.
that
Anyway, back to
does sound
like
stupid.
so what like Jonathan, what like is Alex has seen Invader Zim and didn't like it originally. What do you think watching your first time watching Invader Zim?
Well, I had remembered watching like I remember I don't remember anything about it, but I remember seeing it in pieces as a kid. Um I don't smoke, but I thought I was high the whole episode. I did not.
Ironically, I did watch this episode sober
Okay.
and still hate it. Yeah, just want to put it out there. I did try sober.
I just thought it was weird. Once he got to Earth, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of digging this. But it was very weird, and I could 100% see a group of people and I like enjoying it. I could see it having a fan base.
This was definitely, and it is what you can tell what it is. A cult favorite show. These
Mhm.
are the people who love the show far too much and are like, I love Invader. Like, cool, man. Like, I don't like it. How do you not like it? Chill, man. Just not my style. Not my thing. Like, I feel like, not saying you are, Jerome, but like that's what this like show felt like it was going to create. Definitely, where it's like the intensity. I was like, this, yeah. And I also remember that girl from high school. I forget her name. I guess we weren't that good of friends. Apparently, she was just crazy about it. You know, she had the like stuffed. But they're not stuffed animals. What are they called when they're like characters, stuffed character toys?
Oh, plushies.
Yeah, plushies. There we go. She had the plushies of it, and she's like, "This is Gur, and this is." And it was like, okay, cool. Gur was creepy looking in that dog costume. By the way, I didn't like that. There's something about it that made me unsettled. I was like,
I just
I
love
don't
when he
like what's
zips
going
it
on
up
here.
and he just zips up his
Maybe it was
because he
that.
wears it like a hoodie. He wears it like a onesie in the show. Throughout the show, he wears it like a onesie. But Gur's easily the breakout character that everybody loves from Invaders. If you don't like Zim, or if you meet someone who likes the show and they don't like Zim, they probably love Gur because he's just this dumb, cute little robot who just like the Doom song and all that stuff. It's just like he's just this cute little robot guy.
I will say didn't mind Gurr so much. I think like you're stupid enough to like. I like it. So I will give Gurr credit.
But I just love I think I love the premise where it's just like Invader Zim, because on paper Invader Zim is like an interesting story of like it's a cartoon show about an alien that's trying to take over the world. But I love the fact that he's bad at it, and like as the show continues, he only gets worse at it, and like his but also just how simple the aliens are, where it's like their overlords are the tallest. Why? Because they're tall. That's it. They have no other special skills. They are not like these badass warriors. They're just taller than everybody else, and that's what makes them like revered amongst these aliens.
I mean, as a short person, I kind of get it. Anytime somebody gets like a tall person gets something off like a high cabinet for me, I look up in wonderment. Like I'm like, oh, you were able to do that without having to go and get stairs for yourself? That's magical. So like I kind of get the whole reverement of tall people.
I just love that beginning where they're like, "You're so short. You're so you know what? You get to go to the man-eating rats planet." It's just like
they were just roasting the characters as they were trying to get on their little ships.
I love that little joke too when he's like, "You get to go to the man-eating rats planet." And they show the image. He's like, "Why would you draw that?" Like, and I forgot about that joke. I'm like, that's a fair point, actually. I'm like, how they already have the promo image of what it's gonna be like.
They do that actually. That was like one of those like self-aware things where they pointed out for like planets that they show this may happen to us, but it's okay. It'll be okay.
I love that one, and then Dib is also an interesting character. He gets really cool as the show goes on. So does his sister. His sister doesn't really play a role in the pilot episode, but as the show goes on, she becomes like one of the coolest characters in the show. His dad too, which that's also one of my favorite jokes. He's like, "Not now, son. I'm making toast." I'm just like, it's simple, it's dumb, but it makes me laugh. All the Invaders Zim fans, comment below.
The episode I ended up enjoying way more than I thought I would was actually Hey Arnold. Because I haven't watched Hey Arnold in a really long time. And Invader Zim reminded me just of my weird high school years. Hey Arnold reminded me of like my really younger years with like Doug and there's another show next to Doug and I can never remember it now. I felt like there was a show that was also like like a trio thing going on, but I can't remember now. But Hey Arnold was funny, and the episode you chose was very Helga centered.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize.
Or at least the first one.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, did anyone pick a specific episode because they remembered it, or because it stuck out for them, or did you guys just pick episodes just to get the nostalgia of like the?
When I picked my episodes, I was at work and rushing. I was like, I need to pick an episode, and so I like just thought of, okay, what episodes have I seen that I remember that stick out in my mind, and I specifically remember 38 hours, 10 minutes, 48 seconds until you die. And I remember that part of I remember Helga saying that. So I was like, okay, let's put this episode in. And for Rocket Power, I remember watching that episode a lot. The first episode, the movie episode, I remember watching that episode a lot as a kid. So I decided to put that one in. And for Sanjay and Craig, which I might as well be talking nonsense because nobody watched it. But
I did my best. I didn't reject it because it looked weird. It was just pushed back to the back.
It's all right. I just chose a random episode because all of them are like unique. And like, there's not one episode that like sticks out in particular for me, and I don't have that like huge nostalgia for it because it's a relatively like newer show. But it is actually co-created by one of the guys who worked on Bob's Burgers. So if you
but you can tell with the animation style, because I was like, this looks like Bob's Burgers just for a kids cartoon as opposed to Bob's Burgers.
Right.
Who knows?
Which is
Maybe
why
they exist in the same universe, and this is just a different part of the world.
Maybe. So yeah, that was my reason behind those episodes.
The Wild Thornberrys and Danny Phantom, I just looked up episodes. Those were two. I knew I wanted to do Danny Phantom after we had talked about it, and the Wild Thornberrys was kind of like a last minute pick. I won't lie. So those two I did have to kind of search, and I think that's also why it got so bad. The Miss Dimsdale one and was one of my favorite episodes growing up because I laughed so hard at the dad. The dad makes me like it. The entire episode was my favorite bit. Yeah, and like my favorite line in that whole episode is when they're telling him he can't be in the pageant, and he's like, "Tell me where it is written that a man can't be beautiful," and they're like, "Right here," and they like show him the little rule book, and he's like, "Oh, it is written in there."
And then I forgot that there's a whole part where Adam West falls in love with Timmy Turner's dad.
I forgot Adam West was in Fairly Odd Parents as Catman.
He was
Adam
Catman
West has so many cartoons.
May he rest in peace as well. So Miss Dimsdale was what I knew I wanted to tell you guys about and rewatch, just because the dad was so funny and he wins at the end too. So I was like, yay, he is beautiful. Good for him. I'm proud of it felt good.
Yo, people be talking about Miss Incredible though, but they be out here missing
Timmy
Turner's mom. Because when she's like, yeah, my swimsuit still fits, I'm like, it sure do. It's just like, she's out here looking good. Like, Timmy Turner's dad better watch out. Some of the other dads in the neighborhood might be trying to holler at her.
Timmy Turner's dad was rocking that Speedo pretty well too. He filled it out. It may have been also 3 times smaller than it should have been, but he was strutting with confidence, and sometimes that's all that you need.
Yeah, how did Timmy Turner's dad bag Timmy Turner's mom?
He's funny.
They were childhood sweethearts.
Oh yeah, they were childhood sweethearts. That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta lock them in when they're young. You gotta. That sounded wrong. I didn't like how it sounded. But yeah. But I thought all the shows were really cute, and they were a nice nostalgia. With the Hey Arnold one, what I was mentioning, the first part of it was super. I laughed harder than I thought I would. So I was like, this just feels stupid. But also at the same time, I was like, everybody treated Helga like crap. And then she tried to apologize, and they still treated her crap, so she was able to just be a jerk again. I was like, you have reasons for why you're acting the way you're acting, though.
Not really, no. She's just mean in the beginning.
No.
And then they ignore her when she's when she's trying to apologize. Which, why would they pay attention to her? They've literally conditioned themselves to continue to ignore her because she's so mean all the time.
Well, that's the thing. If somebody had just listened to her, she would have been nice. Yeah, that's the life lesson.
Maybe she should listen. Salka just needs one good ass whooping from her parents. Just one good time with the belt.
Well, the whole problem is they're literally they emotionally abandon her. That's literally the whole thing about it.
There's that conspiracy that her mom was a drunk or an alcoholic, and her dad.
Oh, she definitely was. She always had wine in her hand.
That's true.
So, yeah. What was the thing about the dad?
Her dad he neglects because he does neglect her on the show. He don't care about her.
Yeah.
He was a neglectful father or something like that. Yeah.
She's acting.
Oh yeah, because they love they love their other daughter more.
Yeah, because that's a thing on the show. They always love the other daughter.
Yeah, because she's the perfect one.
Mm-hmm. Although, is Gloria a character, or did they make her up for that episode?
I think she was just for that episode.
Okay, because she just she's creepy, where she's like, "You guys want cookies?" And I'm like, "Yo, chill."
But Ruth was a character. The girl that Arnold said he was marrying, Ruth.
Yeah, I do remember Ruth.
She was a recurring character. Yeah.
I don't remember her at all, but I figured she was probably someone that was a character because of the way Helga reacted. It was it's going to be somebody she really doesn't like. Because it always in those fake visions or something, it's the person they hate the most marrying the person they love the most.
Yeah, she would pop in. She was the one that Arnold had a crush on, and was like the bane of Helga's existence.
Aw.
Ruth is gonna
See?
have it hard
That's
when her and Arnold though when they get married have kids because both of them got football heads. Listen, that baby just gonna tear it all the way up, just the entire way out.
Hey, there's C-sections now. I was born by one.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, so they have a chance now.
But I can see the head, but it ain't coming out. I'm sorry, you just gonna have to. We got to fix something else out.
I wonder if it looked like she just swallowed like a pole or something. They're like, why is your stomach just pointed at two ends? What's going on? We might want to schedule that C-section now. Let's just be honest with everybody. All right, well, that's not coming out. But Hey Arnold, I thought was like a good nostalgic moment when I was watching it. That felt like good. I didn't really watch Rocket Power growing up, so I was like in and out of that episode. But it's, I believe, the one where he's meeting his the skateboarder that he's a real big fan of. And
the actor, yeah.
Guy doesn't, the actor, sorry. And he realizes he doesn't skate, which I was like, that actually is a sad thing to, it's that whole don't meet your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that episode was going a different way, though. I thought they were going to talk to the stunt girl and just be like, yo, you're like awesome. You want to skate with us or something? And instead, she's just kind of a non-character.
That show was like, I'm just realizing, I feel like this the one Nickelodeon show that has a majority like people of color cast, like Nicktoons wise. There's the one token white kid.
Yeah,
I guess that's
that
true.
is true.
Yeah.
Because all my shows had like one black person. That was it. They didn't even have like. Although Wild Thornberrys didn't have anybody.
Oh, that's true.
But
Fairly
Odd Parents and Danny Phantom both had the nerdy black friend.
That's true.
Stereotype. But Rocket Power, I felt like after watching all the other shows except for like Chalk Zone, I felt like Rocket Power was the most crudely drawn one. Like it was the one with the weakish like drawing style. I was like, this feels like a low quality drawing to me for some reason.
I think maybe that's why I liked it, because it's in the same vein, because it's done by the same company as Rugrats and
yeah, same art style as like actually Thornsberry too, Wild
Thornberrys, yeah. But I feel like they did put a little bit more TLC into Wild Thornberrys, maybe because it was like
it's white people.
It's
it was Nickelodeon. We know what they were doing. They know what they were doing.
Can't find anything on the conception of Rocket Power because I am curious, like how that. I mean, I assume it's because at that time extreme sports was the thing. Like 2000s, like extreme sports were a very big like factor.
It was
as far as like entertainment.
Yeah, it was around the time of the Jackass era too. So you see all these
Jackass,
like,
Tony Hawk.
I still like Tony Hawk. I like that he's just living his life. Christian and me were actually talking about Bam earlier. Bam, what's his last name?
Oh, Margera or
yeah. And how he got kicked off of Jackass Forever. And I was like, yeah, learning about his life, it is quite sad what happened to him, and I hope he does better in the future. Because he does have a kid, and that all sucks with growing up with a father like that. The father who's very absent right now because of addiction problems. So hopefully he does end up working out those issues and he can be more in his son's life. But it made me think about all those actors at that time and like all the skateboarders and everything we really watched. All of them were so heavy under the influence, and I never thought about it until I was an adult, and I was like, is that why they were doing all those dangerous stunts? Was that the complete reason? Was it not really? Because I was always like, oh, it's entertainment. They're just so cool. Now I'm like, you were just zooted out of your mind, man. And it like brings a weird like, this no longer is funny to me. Like it's sad. And then when I saw Rocket Power, it kind of reminded me of that but I was like, no, this is cute and entertaining. This is what I remember watching when I used to watch that stuff. So it did have me a little twinge of feelings.
I mean, you got like it was just an era of just really cool skateboarders. Like, 'cause you had Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen, Ryan Sheckler, I think his name was. Cause I remember I was huge into like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, and that's why I loved Rocket Power. I loved watching extreme sports when I was a kid at that time, 2000s, and so I was just like eating it up with all the really cool people doing all these extreme stunts, and I just feel like it's why Rocket Power for me feels like it sits in the 90s, especially the way the show is with all the like title cards coming up, because at least in Danny Phantom it's like, oh, it's like wham pow, like, whatever, like old
Like
Adam West Batman cartoons.
Yeah.
on
This
Rocket
is
Power,
just
the kids
it's
will
just
say
things
something.
they say. Yeah.
And it'll be like the kids will somebody will say an insult, and then a title card will fill up the whole screen, and it'll say, "Ooh, burn" or something like that.
Yeah, especially even the
And
opening title of how like it's just rainbow tie-dye colors or rocket power down 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 down, like it's just constant motion, and it's just like Jesus
It
Christ.
is.
But that's the 90s, because the show was made in 99 is when it aired, like first aired, went through 2004, and I'm like, that is that time period. Because you also think about like the Malcolm in the Middle opening, where that was also like chaos
Going up
incarnate
the
as like an
Yeah.
opening.
I
Yeah.
think that's why I didn't like fully watch Rocket Power. I watched a good chunk of it, but I didn't finish it because I was like, this is a lot. Things keep coming at me. And I also can't sit still all the time. So like I watch things and walk around and do stuff. And I'm like, Rocket Power, you gotta watch out for those flashcards. You gotta like pay attention to some stuff. Which is like a lot. And so I was like I kind of had to play God in the background, but I think I missed like most of the ending of it. Were they happy? Did they accept that their hero was who he was?
well, in the episode, the hero ended up like, or the
The actor.
kid in the movie, he ended up getting like hurt, and so they
Oh.
changed the his role in the movie, and then the girl who was his stunt double became the new like lead of the movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that to go that way. I was like, oh, maybe they're like, oh, actor's actor, and they're like, the real heroes is like the stunt person, or the real cool person's the stunt person. Not that he got injured.
Yeah. I mean, he broke his
Yeah, I was
arm,
like,
but it's skateboarding. That happens.
Yeah.
I'm sad you guys didn't get to watch Chalk Zone, because I wanted you to hear
I
the
watched
bop
Chalk
at
Zone.
the end. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you
I
like
did.
it?
But
See, the only thing I didn't watch was that 82-minute episode of Danny Phantom. I watched.
that's fair. I didn't know it was 82 minutes.
It wasn't. It was
genuinely
49. He was just joking.
Either way, I didn't know it was going to be the longest one, so I just literally Googled that one,
Well,
Danny Phantom,
I
and
remembered
reading
it.
through the old episodes.
I remembered it because I remember I was huge into Danny Phantom at that time, and I remember that episode in particular. It was like a big thing. They were like marketing it for weeks, of like, tune in on Friday for Danny to fight his ultimate villain, and they were keeping it a secret, like who it was, and a lot of people were speculating, like, oh, is it Skulker, or is it a new villain, like who is it? And then I think I did guess that it was him at the time. I think I came close. I was like, is it him? Is he fighting himself?
Also, with the Danny Phantom, I had forgotten at the beginning he's contemplating cheating on an aptitude test.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Which,
not a test you can fail or pass. It's just something that's like, do you prefer to work inside? Do you prefer to work outside?
That's what got me too. I'm like, how can you study for a career test?
I think they wanted it to be like the SAT or something, because they're not in high school, right? They're in middle school.
They're 14, I believe. So I think they're in 8th grade.
Okay. So yeah, so they're either freshmen or like 8th grade. So they're not old enough yet to take the SAT, and so I think this was the closest thing they could make that seemed like the SAT for them to take.
Was the aptitude test different than what I would recall it was? Was there math questions on there?
No, I
'Cause,
mean
yeah,
not that
this was
I
all
don't.
about.
I mean I didn't take one when I was in school. Like we didn't take like that a test that was like this is going to determine your future until we took like the ACT or the SAT at the end of high school.
Oh, I remember taking one in 8th grade because they're like, in high school, that's when you start deciding your future. So here's a way. It didn't be like you're going to be like a firefighter or something like that. They're like, hey, this is, your style. This is what we found out. These are the careers maybe you should look into. This is how you best. I was like, oh, this is cool. I think I got like creative but structured. Like, I remember one time, I remember like architect on there for some reason. And I'm like, I can't. At the time, I thought, I can't be an architect. I have such unsteady hands. Because
Oh,
that mattered.
audience for those like so if you're a little confused, the Danny Phantom episode we picked was an episode involving Danny fighting a future version of himself that's gone evil, and but the plot point in the present time, that's like the subplot of the episode, is that he is stressing about taking a career aptitude test that will determine what his future career will be. Which I'm like, he has a future career, ghost hunting. Because unlike his parents, it can actually make it into a career because he's good at it.
That's true. But he would have to prove the existence of ghosts, which is like semi-outing himself.
They are
That he
good.
can
They
catch
already
ghosts.
exist. That they see they attack
Nobody
every day.
believes it though. Yet nobody believes it. They're like, it wasn't a ghost. So he'd have to prove the existence of ghosts to be a successful ghost hunter.
Plus, with his powers, he could live wherever he wants and probably steal money and stuff. Like, he'll be fine. He doesn't actually need to have a career.
You're literally turning him into the supervillain he did not want to become.
That's not true.
Episode.
The supervillain he turned into is because he removed his humanity. If he keeps his humanity, he'll still be a good guy and live on his own by his own rules.
Because people with humanity aren't always good, though.
I will say though,
Danny
coolest cameos in this episode, David Carradine, which I didn't know he played Clockwork, but that's so cool.
Oh.
And then Eric Roberts is who played Evil Danny, or Dark Danny, as he's called. Yeah, I looked it up because I was like, I wonder who plays Dark Danny, because that's a really good voice for like Evil Danny. And it's Eric Roberts, and I was like, man, that's awesome. Eric Roberts does a great job.
I also heard Gilbert Gottfried, but was he like a regular on the show?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. But I heard him.
I don't remember that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just one of those that popped up in Danny Phantom. Like, Gilbert Gottfried's a weird dude, respectfully. So I wouldn't be shocked if he like had a random character that he's like, I'm just gonna come, get some money.
Now, funny enough, David Clockwork does come back in. Yeah, rest in peace. Also, rest in peace, David Carradine.
Wait, Gilbert Gottfried's dead?
Yes.
Yeah, he died a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Or last year, maybe.
I think it was last year.
Continue.
It was very recent.
With your...
Yeah, 2020, April of last year.
Mm-hmm.
What? Okay, so that's not ridiculous that I didn't know that one.
But Clockwork does return into Danny Phantom series. I don't think very often. I think it's like in movies and stuff, like other big movies of the Danny TV movies of Danny Phantom. However, the way that this ends off, it ends off with them capturing Dark Danny, and he's now outside of time. He can still exist, and there's implication with him like kind of trying to bust out the thermos. It's like, hey, maybe one day Dark Danny will come back, and he never does. And I think that's weird because I'm like, I feel like Eric Roberts, you probably could get him back to do another episode as Dark Danny. They never address it, like. But I guess the idea is that he's just imprisoned forever. But they never bring him back, and I'm like, that's crazy. Because I feel like he was a really good villain. I love him in the as a villain in this episode, and I really hoped they would have brought him back.
Well, it's that whole fighting with the dark side of yourself.
Yeah.
The evil you could become, and I thought it was interesting when they put him outside of time. Because in my head, or I guess now that I'm older and I thought about it, I was like, oh, you put him out of time, like basically time and space. That means it doesn't matter who you turn into. He's still there. So you could become a good guy in the future, but the guy's still there. So you like removed him, and that made me just think about like all the just everything about that episode then, and it changed it because I was like, well, wasn't the whole point was that you did not turn into him, but he still exists? So is this all about just like you're careful with your dark side because it'll always exist no matter what, or like what's going on, or can you change in a matter of seconds? Yeah, very philosophical for me, unnecessarily philosophical.
Yeah, the next the TV movie after that was really good too for Danny Phantom when he fights the plant ghost. Like that was really cool.
I vaguely remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the weirdest things from Danny Phantom. I remember the cafeteria ghost. For some reason, I really liked him. And I watched all these episodes religiously. A lot of the cartoons I remember watching every single time. And if I watch it, I'll remember the plot in every step of the way. But like off the top of my head, I'm like, no, I don't know anything. But I do remember the cafeteria ghost, the box ghost.
Yeah, the lunch lady.
And
Yeah, she's great.
yeah.
Especially because she has these sweet moments where she's like, and I love that their daughter has the same things where she's like, would you like some salad with a side of salad? No thanks. Then you'll die.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Or
she's just like her mother.
That was fun. Or she's like, oh, do you want this? Yes, please. We're out of it. She just like yells at you.
The box ghost though, especially because I remember watching that episode because like the box ghost is such a joke throughout the entire series. So I thought it was really cool that when you get to this TV movie and you see future box ghost and he's like jacked and he's like a total threat now, and I was like, that's a cool twist that the box ghost of all of the ghosts is actually now like
had enough.
Yeah, he's sick of Danny's crap. He wants, but also that Skylar let herself go. Now that her singing, that her voice is shot.
Does that mean ghosts can change their body? Can they age?
I guess so. Johnny's in a wheelchair with like what's it called? With like bald spot. Yeah. So I guess technically they can.
Is that so? That's a weird concept, ghost aging. No, I never thought about that. A lot. I will say, rewatching these cartoons, I had some new thoughts with it. Like kind of on the same road of the old thoughts I used to have with it. Like with Hey Arnold, how weird it was. I was like, when Helga always broke out into those little like monologues she had when she was talking about Arnold. The new thoughts was, how did nobody ever hear her?
Well, that one kid did. Who's just behind her. It's just like I'm like, that's creepy, dude. You gotta back it up. Back it up.
I am absolutely gonna hate re-listening to this episode editing. That whole part, guys. Okay. That's gonna haunt me. But like for all the other times, because she'll just like turn around and it's like Shakespeare theater for her. She like did it multiple times. Mm-hmm.
Which they so they ended the series like I remember Hey Arnold was going for a long time before they officially ended it. It was kind of like Fairly Odd Parents where they would have one new episode like every 6 months for like years and years until it eventually ended. And then a couple years ago, remember they released that movie, which the writer said that was originally supposed to be the movie concept for the one that came out in theaters years ago. But Nickelodeon didn't like want that. They wanted to go somewhere else with the movie or something. So years and years later, they ended up making the jungle movie. I think that's what it was. The one that just got released. Mm-hmm. Where we get to meet like Arnold's parents and stuff. I don't know if in the end, Helga ever professed her love for Arnold, but we got to meet.
I think she did, because I remember in the Hey Arnold movie, she did kiss him and professed her love to him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I think it like that was supposed to be like the ending, so I don't know if that carried over into the Jungle movie. for Hey Arnold. Granted, funny enough, they did the same thing with Invader Zim too, but the difference was that one
It had a
went.
movie.
They years later they made a movie for Invader Zim, that went to Netflix. But that movie was based off of, because they kept the show going, and a lot of cartoons do this. Cartoon Network does a lot too, where the show will end, but they'll like still put out comic books of the property.
Yeah.
That's like extra adventures of the Rick and Morty has comics, Adventure Time has comics, like there's a lot of comic books based off of other cartoons, and Invader Zim had comics, and so one of them is what the movie was. I forget what it was called right now, but that was the movie, and it was like an hour long, or an hour and like 15 minutes or something like that. It was pretty good. It was a nice return to form. It felt just like watching a very long Invader Zim episode. But it was, yeah, my favorite one was the Christmas movie they did, where Santa, they clone, like Zim makes Santa, a real version of Santa, but he's all messed up and he's like a spider Santa with candy cane
Oh, no.
spider legs, and he attacks, because the way Invader Zim works is just like SpongeBob, where it's 2 episodes, like, or 2 stories in one episode, and then sometimes stuff happens where it's like every time it's a new story, it resets everything. The ending of the Christmas one is that they have to put the city in a dome, and every Christmas Santa comes and attacks with his spider legs, trying to get in to get to the
I don't like
children.
that.
And I'm just like, this is Invader Zim.
I literally leapt again. Like I was cooking at my sister's place this morning, and Yasi was like, "Hey, there's a spider." My ass jumped so high and so quickly out of that kitchen. There's a little spider. So seeing Santa with candy cane legs that would not settle right with me as a kid, and probably not settled right with me as an adult either. I would have hated it. I don't like it even now.
Now,
Jonathan,
we
you want to talk about Chalk Zone real quick?
oh, I was gonna mention that we haven't even mentioned All Grown Up.
All Grown Up. I was just thinking that. I was like, we need to touch on one more episode. Yeah, All Grown Up.
Right.
Was there
I
a
enjoyed
particular reason that episode was picked?
Right, and not the pilot.
I picked it because we were like in our Rugrats in Paris, we were talking about that there's like, Susie ain't getting her shine. So I was like, I want to pick a Susie centric episode of All Grown Up. There's another one though that I wish I had picked that I knew existed before that one.
Where she sings, where she like
where she sings.
I remember
and,
that
like,
episode.
Gets tricked, and her mom gets on her because she's like, Susie, you could have been kidnapped. Like, I don't care that you snuck out of the house or whatever. I was worried for your safety. But this one was good too. It was all right. The Phil stuff was like, felt like it was just an afterthought. They're like, well, we got to have something for Tommy and Chucky to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it was nice to see that, give Susie an episode, and I thought it was pretty funny that she was incapable of being bad.
I laughed
When
at
she
the
was
scene
trying to
where
throw
she's
the
throwing the
sandwich,
book, yeah, or the sandwich, yeah.
Yeah.
And she just can't do
The
it.
books what got me, where she's like, I'm gonna put all the books backwards, and I'm like, okay. And
I
then,
get it.
but even then, she can't do it because she's just like, what? The books are in the wrong place. Let me do this, and then she's now just organizing the library.
I loved
Cheddar.
I loved.
Hi, Cheddar. Can you we're gonna put your butt down. Go ahead.
I loved when she walked into school the next day and she's all dressed up in her bad outfit, and she's to Angelica. She's like, "What's up, fool?" It was great.
Hey. This may not be for children, but let's keep it decent. I thought it was so funny that it was just because she mouthed off to her dad like a little bit, but she didn't even really mouth off to him. She just had some attitude.
Right.
And he's like, are you talking back to me? And she's like, yes, I am. I can do it.
Where her dad's, especially because her dad seems really strict, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, your kid clearly is not in a mood to talk. Just ignore the biting cat. Your kid's clearly not in a mood to talk, and you just keep asking her question after question. Yeah, that's annoying.
Mm-hmm. I forget how, and I remember this when I first watched the show, like growing up. How impressed I was at the fact that these actors, and they're all the same actors for every single kid and
Mhm.
every single character, how how impressive it was that they were able to not only do the voice as a kid, but also as, a teenager, preteen, and make it sound convincing, because a lot of these people were playing two characters, or some of these people were playing two characters. uh all of like almost all of well all of them, all of the kid characters were played by women, and they, were doing the boy voices and made it sound very
Well,
convincing.
they were probably probably I imagine wasn't too hard. I feel like it's harder to do the Rugrats voices because it's like you have to sound like a baby, versus here they're all adults. So really, they just got to do the same voices, but without putting as much emphasis on like some of the words to make them sound more babbly, especially with Tommy, where they can just normally enunciate because they're teenagers, so they
Right, but
actually
also
can
but
enunciate normal.
but also like making that translate is also like
Sure, you get the sweet dog. I got this. It's fine. That's fine.
that translating, I imagine, would be hard because
Well, I imagine it
uh
translates because it's the same voice actors. So I think that's the perfect thing they did to cast the same people. They didn't
I
cast
I
anyone
I
new or
get what
different.
you're saying, Jerome, and I get what Jonathan's saying, because it's interesting to notice that the voices actually do sound like they're grown up, but they sound exactly the same. And it's kind of like when you grow up, unless your voice drops like a lot, your voice technically does sound the same when you're younger. You're just like your speech gets better. You probably talk a little like, because the babies do talk kind of fast because they're panicky because they've gotten into a situation they should not be. These are like teens trying to figure everything out. They're like, what if I do this?
The only
So I
one who
get what
didn't.
both of you are
and
saying.
and it
Yeah.
can, and I because I imagine it could go into the space where, you know you want to sound old, but you don't want to sound like you a 30-year-old truck driver. Like, look, I'm
I
just trying
don't
to give the
imagine any
voice.
of those
I'm
teenagers were gonna sound. I don't think any of them were
Oh,
gonna sound like
look,
that.
look,
hold
Jerome.
up
I'm
really quick,
I'm
really quick.
I'm
I did
just
not
trying
know
to
your
give
voice
the.
could go that deep, Jonathan. That was impressive. I did not know your voice could actually go that deep.
Oh, thank
So
you.
like, yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm just trying to give the voice actors their credit, okay,
No,
Jerome.
they
You're trying to
deserve
dismiss
credit. I'm
them.
just saying it's just like I think if anything it's just cool. Although Cree Summer is Susie, I feel like she was doing number 5 from Codename Kids Next Door, because she
Okay,
played
if
that character
you
too.
disrespect Cree Summer
No,
on
no,
this
I'm not saying
podcast
that's a
one
bad
more
thing.
time.
I'm saying that as a good thing. I love number 5 in Codename Kids Next Door, so I think that's cool that she put a lot more of that swag in it. That because Susie, she's playing when she plays her in Rugrats, she's playing a child, but Susie now as an adult, she's got some style to her and stuff. So to play kind of that really kind of the enunciation she puts into her voice to make Susie seem like more of a cooler kid, like number 5 is in Codename Kids Next Door, I think is a good choice. And so it makes Susie kind of feel cool to me. To me personally, I really enjoyed Cree Summer's performance as Susie in the All Grown Up series.
I think the All Grown Up series was so well done too, because they could have made these characters like really weird or gotten them into like it could have ended so much badly, because you're like, you love the babies and they're so cute and you want them to grow up like good, but they were still able to have them have such different personalities. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like Susie is a good kid compared to Angelica. And when she gets called the good kid, she's like, wait, I'm not. And you can see they show the internal conflict of like, I don't want to be boring. Which I never understood. When you get called like a good kid, why is it an insult? It took me like years to. My mom used to call me the good one, but like that was,
I think it's the same thing as
wasn't that hard. But
the phrase "nice guys finish last," where it's like people don't want people that are good; they want people that are a little dangerous, a little risky. They're a little edgy.
I guess so. I just thought it was funny that it set her off so quickly. And also, who brushes their teeth in the bathroom? Like,
in the
Susie.
school bathroom.
I know, and like,
She's
no,
trying
like
to
in a
have
public-
pearly whites. You know what I'm saying?
That's so gross. No, because I know people who do that, and I'm always disgusted when they do that. They're like, "Oh, I want my." I'm like, It's a public bathroom. There's so many people in and out. Do you not understand like airborne stuff? Don't do
I
that.
mean, I guess, but it's just like it's your toothbrush. I mean, is it worse from the germs that
No,
are already
it's
on your teeth and already airborne in your own
yeah.
bathroom? You poop in your own bathroom, and there's air particles
No,
in there and stuff
that's
like
fine. Like that's mine. That's mine. But like you're in a public bathroom, you don't know what people are eating. You don't know what people are doing in there, and that stays in a closed room too, with always poor ventilation. Public, especially in public school bathrooms, they don't have any. They barely have windows to like air things out. Don't go brushing your teeth in there. Ugh.
Real quick before I forget, Chalk Zone.
I had forgotten the whole. I had watched Chalk Zone, not as much as some of these other shows, but I had watched it, and I had forgotten the whole concept. I was like, okay, I know it's the kid when he draws things, they come to life, and blah blah blah. But I had forgotten that it was like the world was everything that had been erased on the chalkboard. And for some reason, that didn't make as much sense to me as like he just went into this chalk world every so often and just drew stuff. Like,
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I kind of vaguely remember this from the show. Was he able to see in places like through the chalkboard?
No.
No,
You
that's
can just
right.
get
That's
into
something
Chalk Zone through the chalkboard. That's it.
Because I like weirdly remember him staring into a classroom like where a math teacher's writing like numbers or something like
mean,
through that way.
I think he could probably see what someone's writing on a chalkboard, but he can't see into
Maybe
where the area is.
that could be it. That might most likely be it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, actually, that premise doesn't make too much sense to be in a world where everything's just erased, because there would just be numbers everywhere and letters.
Well, they are. You just don't. They're just not, creatures, so you don't see those.
But where do they go?
Somewhere. I think there
source?
actually is an episode where you do get to see like some of the menial stuff that's written on chalkboards. But it's like, I picked Chalk Zone because originally I picked Chalk Zone because I couldn't pick LT Gray because someone's gonna make you guys pay for an episode off like Prime Video or something. But
Fair enough.
like the other reason is because like Chalk Zone, I remember that was the first cartoon I'd watched where I was like, this is really cool to have two different art styles in the same cartoon to help differentiate the world a little bit, where it's like the regular world is drawn exactly how cartoons at that time was made, but Chalk Zone worlds, the way they illustrate all the chalk characters and stuff like that, the way they move is just so interesting and cool. I remember Snap. I drew Snap all the time after that show came out, on like pieces of paper and stuff. Because by the time I was in school, chalkboards weren't a thing. It was white erase boards.
Were you secretly hoping that your Snap would come to life?
I definitely thought about it, where I was like, "Oh, my drawings are still alive." Like
that's actually the concept doesn't make sense, but actually that's a sweet concept that like your drawing lives on.
Stuart Little.
I think the concept does make sense because like a lot of stuff gets drawn, especially back when chalkboards were the prominent like thing in schools. I'm sure there's a lot of kids that drew a lot of drawings on chalkboards and then they get erased and it's like they're gone. So I like the idea of like this is where they go, to Chalk Zone, where they live on forever.
I think chalkboards disappeared, but
Fruity's got the chalk.
By the way,
the song.
These theme songs brought me back. I knew I haven't seen All Grown Up in years.
That's the only one I remembered. That Danny Phantom
word.
Yeah.
I remembered every single word.
Danny
every birthday, my mom and dad would say, "You're another year older, another year wiser, but I still go to school to get an education. I treat each and every day like a mini vacation." Okay. Anyway, yeah, but
I was having fun.
The Chalk Zone one threw me off, and it's like Brody's got the chalk. I'm like, Chalk Zone. I'm like, God dang, I mostly wanted to know what you guys thought about Chalk Zone. Alex, I'm sorry you missed it because of the bop at the end. Every Chalk Zone episode had a song at the end for no reason. It's not like it was a part of the episode. They would just have a song at the end of just them playing. And the one in the first episode was a bop. I was like, man, this is dope.
Maybe I can catch the end at least. All right, I'll just YouTube Chalk Zone songs. I feel like there's a playlist somewhere, and I could just watch them.
If we do a Cartoon Network retrospective, you better believe I'm doing Class of 3000.
I was literally. Should that be our next episode? I mean, we could do that. I don't know what we have on the agenda for next week, but
I would definitely the show that I would definitely like rave over is Courage the Cowardly Dog. That show I love so much. I know like every episode. That one I have so many favorites. So I would have to Russian roulette that one for like an episode to show you guys. Probably the one with the supportive crocodile in the bathtub.
But I really loved revisiting a lot of these and going back and looking at them and stuff and remembering like all the cartoons I watched when I was a kid, especially because Nickelodeon wasn't exactly like because we've done a cartoon retrospective audience as a Behind the Usher Station episode, but that was kind of a free for all. We didn't really have any plans or anything. We didn't pick episodes or nothing like that. So you can listen to that where we talk a little bit more about some Disney cartoons. But I feel like Disney gets all the shine when it comes to like talking about childhood cartoons for the most part. You don't really hear a lot about Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network very as often as you hear about Disney stuff. So it's nice to actually take a break and focus on those on Nickelodeon.
And a lot of time when you're talking about Nickelodeon, you're talking about like SpongeBob too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which we did do a retrospective for SpongeBob as well. So check out that episode of us just talking about
I was surprised that nobody chose SpongeBob out of their episodes, but it's like it gets a lot of. We've all probably seen all the episodes anyway. So.
Well, also
I actually recently just watched a lot of them, and immediately the one where the foot gets dragged over Squidward's
You texted me when you watched that.
I think it was like midnight. I'm like, I texted Jonathan, guess what episode I just watched? And automatically he's like, the toenail? Did you watch the toenail? I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, I'm trying to just go to sleep and enjoy my time. And I like, you asked me, did I watch it fully? And I don't think I responded because I was still like cringing. I was like, yeah, I did watch it. It was so graphic for no reason. They show that nail going backwards and
welcome
my God.
to later SpongeBob episodes.
I don't like it.
But
so graphic.
Also, it was nice to pick cartoons that weren't the extreme. Like, I mean, I guess Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom, like all grown up, those are popular. But it's like it was nice to actually pick some cartoons that aren't your regular ones. Like we didn't, no one picked Ren and Stimpy, no one picked Cat Dog, and stuff. Like I
think Fairly Odd Parents was a little popular a little bit later. The first few seasons the first couple seasons weren't actually that popular. Because I've talked to people about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, I remember these episodes. I'm like, yeah, but they're on the later season. They knew nothing about the beginning season. And I think it's, it came a little bit too early in, like, the rise of the cartoons, in a way. Or too late. Where people didn't watch it as much. I never hear people go too much raving about it. Unless it's about the later episodes. Because nobody remembers Miss Dimsdale. I've talked about it to people. I love seeing that dad in her dress. It's weird.
I think it's just good to watch these other cartoons for once. Give them their shine, especially stuff that's like no one talks about, like Chalk Zone, people Rocket Power. It's good to just give these Sanjay and Craig. I wasn't going to include Sanjay and Craig, but sure.
People still aren't talking about Sanjay and Craig, apparently. But I think it was good to watch Rocket Power and kind of remember that. Because you're right, it is a cartoon show with a lot of, like, POC characters. And most of our cartoons were not like that. Like I mentioned, Danny Phantom and Fairly Odd Parents had the one nerdy black guy as the best friend. And I didn't realize that until after I watched them. I'm like, oh, they just like up the two and then replaced the poor one from Fairly Odd Parents with a goth girl. That's what they grew into teenagers. That's it. So
I mean, I had a
it
green
was.
kid in mine, so you know, I feel like
You had a green kid and
I-
pale kids.
I Invaderism was weird. I did I did enjoy. I guess I did enjoy it more than like I expected to for Invaderism.
I just kept creasing my
But
eyebrows like I do. So at the show,
Also,
But
love the 3D
that being
animation
said,
in
I
Invader Zim
was
though too. The 3D animation.
I was gonna
looks
say
solid.
that that combination between like the 3D and the kind of like the Bob's Burgers movie, how they just had those like the random
shading.
interstitials where it would
Mhm.
yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed doing this too. Yeah, it was good to reminisce. I put on a 7-day free trial to Paramount Plus because I canceled my Paramount Plus subscription because I wasn't watching anything on it. Literally, the only thing that I watch on Paramount Plus is the Big Brother live feeds, and Big Brother's not on right now because it's not the summer. And like when I want to watch the old cartoons, then I'll use Paramount Plus for that. But I wasn't really doing it, so I'm glad I got a chance to do it again. And now I want to watch some more Sanjay and Craig.
El Tigre, you will
And-
get your time. Put El Tigre on Paramount Plus. It's a Nickelodeon cartoon too. It's a great cartoon. Love El Tigre.
There's also if anyone wants to watch more Rocket Power, might I suggest the season 3 movie? It's like a 3-part episode, or 3-episode like
Arc.
It's like the length. Yeah. Actually, I don't think it's split up into 3 episodes. I think it's just one long episode, the length of 3 episodes. Anyway, it's Race Across New Zealand. I remember loving it as a kid. And hopefully I love it.
Oh
again
wait,
if I watch it.
before we wrap up, we didn't talk about Wild Thornberry at all.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
I didn't even watch that episode.
I watched it. I thought
said
it
that.
was. I thought it was
Same.
cute. I thought it was neat.
Yeah.
I
forget-
remember the episode being like Nigel and what's her name now?
Eliza.
Eliza. Kind of like bonding and her showing her independence and wanting to do that, but of course Nigel can't let go just yet because that's his like kid.
The mom was getting on my nerves in that episode. I was
For
like, is she
real.
like this in every single episode?
She's
I
not,
forget.
as far as I
Like,
know, she's not. But I remember like as watching the episode, especially when she runs the nuns off the road, and then she's like, "They call me a bad mother." It's like they didn't. And I love that Debbie is like, "They didn't say that. Like all they did was drop a suitcase with soap in it, and you out here tripping, mama. Like you need to calm it down." All Grandma
The
did
wild-
was bring us
Yeah.
some Cheeto puffs. Like you freaking out.
The Wild Thornberries is probably like one of the most culturally educational
Yeah,
Nicktoons.
because when you see the Incan just natives and the llamas and everything, it's like I remember like I forgot how like open the show is about like as exploration essentially, and it's like
Yeah.
I mean it's not we don't get to see Nigel's actual nature documentary, but it does. I think it probably did encourage a lot of kids to be interested in like the world around them and like other countries and other societies and ancient ruins and animals and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember the show being so heavy with the animals and being actually pretty fact about the animals too. I had forgotten about the cultural settings around them because a lot of times I remember them being in like the safari or the random jungle and then learning about like tigers or whatever was hiding in those trees. But they did actually go to a lot of different places. When looking up that episode list, I was like, oh, they're here. Oh, they're here, really? So it was actually quite impressive the different locations they were like willing to take them to.
I remember
'Cause
Debbie-
every episode was a different. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say every episode was a different place, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I remember Debbie having more pushback because in this episode she seemed like she was just cool. She was like, "Yeah, it's whatever."
Right. Yeah, she was because because I remember her character was like the angsty teen that didn't want anything to do with her family.
And this she seemed
But
like,
she still
maybe
like listened to her parents though. She was like, they're like, hey, stay with your brother and sister. She's like, I hate this, but she did protect them. She did go out her way to always make sure, or rephrase that. She did her best as
protect
her
Donnie.
teenage self. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's true.
And Eliza, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, she also kind of bonds with Eliza a little bit at the end of the episode, even though they're separated most of the episode. When they do come together, they like have a good time. So I'm like, oh, that is cool, man.
Mm-hmm. And Eliza was voiced by the girl that plays Is it Gretchen in Mean Girls?
Really?
Lacey Chabert? Yeah, Lacey.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fun fact. And of course, as we learned last week, Flea voices Donnie.
Yeah. Although I'm wondering whose child Donnie is, because Nigel has orange hair, Marianne has blonde hair, Debbie has blonde hair.
No.
Oh, in the Wild
Donnie's not
Thunders,
their child.
Oh, okay.
They're not his child.
Oh,
they
yeah,
found
he
him in
was
the
like
wilderness.
They found him. That's right.
There's a special episode. I suggest Googling it because apparently I don't know seasons and episodes of things. Where they actually show Donnie's backstory, and they don't really show what happens to his human parents, but they'd say like, oh, they go a little Tarzan style where I was holding on to my phone, my light turned on. They like the mama gorilla, or I think was raising him, and they realized, oh, Donnie needs human parents, so they kind of let the Wild Thornberrys like take Donnie.
Okay.
So I remember that. Yeah, he's not their actual kid.
Gotcha.
His life story is actually much sadder. But he's also been around these people for a while. Why hasn't he picking up on any of their language?
Because they allow him to still be his self. Like they're just like, we're not bothered to try and teach him language or anything like that. They're like, yeah, Donnie's fine. Just keep an eye on him.
That's actually a thing that actually happens with the youngest kids. They learn to speak a lot later than like their older siblings because people are using to answer their grunts. And I was telling a coworker about this. I was like, yeah, that happens. She's like, oh my God. She's like, thank you for telling me that. She's like, because my daughter still just like will say stuff or will make a noise and point to stuff. And I'm like, what? You got to use your words. And her brother will just get up and be like, she wanted this. Just get her this. And I told her, I'm like, that doesn't change because I still do that with my sister. I'm like, and I'll just like push her or do something. And, like, it never goes away. So that kind of makes sense why he was learning language. But also, why didn't they understand him? They kind of, everybody was just letting him. They were just letting Flea be Flea, I guess, in the end. But
how much cheese puffs were in that bag? Because I've had a bag of cheese puffs. Half the bag is normally air, and the other half is the cheese puffs. They were eating them by the handfuls of cheese puffs, and they still had plenty by the end of the episode. That couldn't have been the same bag.
The cheese puffs were air.
They had to have had more than one bag or something. I don't know. That llama was funny, though. They had
emergency supplies of cheese puffs.
The llama was so cute. Where she's just like,
hey
llama, do you know any great spots to go to? Oh, there's this great patch of grass somewhere. It's like, oh,
why did she have the Brooklyn New York accent? Like, what is she?
I don't know.
Because llama's got some attitude on them.
I mean, why does Snap in Shock Zone? It's like, Rudy, like, no, come on, Rudy, you gotta use the chalk. I'm just like, Rudy is not from Boston or something. Why do you have this Boston accent? This
well, maybe Snap was drawn in Boston. Yeah, you ever think of that?
I don't know.
He was on some kid's sidewalk during a hot day.
Although, to go back to Chalk Zone, though, they weren't exactly very creative with the names. Where it's like Rudy to Booty and fucking Bull Nerd is the bully who bullies nerds.
Oh, yeah.
Look, the show focuses its creative necessities on other parts that other things focus on.
But
what's Gibson trying to say? What's going on there?
He's like, I loved Chalk Zone.
He's got He's like, I modeled myself after Snap.
The only one who was Penny Sanchez, that was her name, Penny. Yeah, who's the other character? Which that was funny too. When Rudy's telling her the story of the spider that chews gum in Shock Zone, and she's like, but she knows everything about spiders, so she's like, that's not true. Like, yeah, but spiders actually like make web out of their butt. He's like, that's not how it happens in Shock Zone. And in my head, I was like, that's like that kid that's telling you a story. And you try to correct it with real science, and he's like, well, that's not how it happens in my story. Now, if you excuse me. Anyway, so the corn monsters grew out of the bush made of grapes, and then they came out. It's just like, all right, well, whatever.
All these shows, all these cartoons were a big trip. I mean, no matter, like, they were fun to watch and nostalgic, but like objectively looking at them all, they were like on something in a way. They were such a big trip to revisit and being like, this is what entertained us. This is what we laughed at every week.
Watch Sanjay and Craig, and you will say that 10 times over. If you think the shows we watched were something, maybe Invaders Zim, but Sanjay and Craig.
I will promise you, the moment I leave this podcast, I will go watch Sanjay and Craig.
Okay.
I will give it to you.
That's not true. She won't do it. Because she still hasn't watched, what was the cartoon you were talking about? You were bad-mouthing, and I was like, I bet you won't watch an episode. You didn't watch an episode.
Which one? I badmouth a lot of things. Like, I talk shit so much.
I forget it. Well, I'll re-listen to some old episodes and I'll figure it out. Anyway, and like I feel I was this close to picking an Avatar episode too, but I feel like Avatar should get its own retrospective because that show is like a whole other level for Nickelodeon. I don't think anything's been able to be like Avatar except Korra, which is in the same universe and made by the same people.
Yeah, it's the next one.
So it's like I think Avatar. One day we'll do an Avatar cartoon retrospective for Avatar: The Last Airbender. But comment below, audience. Tell us what are your favorite Nicktoons you remember from when you were a kid. Or maybe you're still watching them today and you're still thinking about them. Comment below, tell us what you think. What are your favorite Nicktoons? New or old? You know, we don't discriminate. Like, if it's stuff that's coming out now or stuff that came out way back in the 90s and the 2000s. Tell us. We'd love to hear it.
Yes. And were there any shows that we didn't mention that you're like, why didn't you guys mention this show? Let us know below.
Yeah, we can always do a part 2. There's still more Nicktoons that we had,
so many
that we did not get to. So can always do a part 2, right. Nicktoons 1. And comment below if you want us to do Cartoon Network as well, because that would be fun. And that was more my jam. I watch more Cartoon Network than anything else, and I would love to do that. And luckily, if we have HBO Max subscription, like, it's also a nice hot spot to watch old Cartoon Network cartoons because almost all of them are up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta look through that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the fact that our old shows are now so readily available because I remember when I was maybe like in high school and, you know, there weren't any streaming services really. And you couldn't go back and watch the shows that maybe you watched when you were younger.
You had the DVD box set.
The DVD box set. That's what you had to do, is buy the DVD box set. And now you don't have to do that. You can just get a streaming service.
In Cartoon Network's case, you had to hope it came on Boomerang. Because
I don't think I ever watched anything on Boomerang.
Boomerang was like all the like where you could watch like old school Scooby-Doo, the Looney Tunes, all the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons like Huckleberry Hound and Snagglepuss and stuff like that. And then eventually, I think it's because viewership for Boomerang was dropping, they started just putting older Cartoon Network cartoons they weren't gonna put on regular Cartoon Network on there. So Dexter's Lab, Courage, Johnny Bravo. All those cartoons, and they kept updating it. Like there was a point where Teen Titans was on Boomerang, and I was like, Teen Titans is on Boomerang? Why? That's like not even that old. Because Boomerang's tagline was, "It's all coming back to you," and I'm like, what, from like 2 years ago? It's not. I mean,
eventually,
you get nostalgic about it.
It catches up to itself. It catches up to itself.
Which I don't even know if Boomerang still exists. I wonder if it does. I'm like, if we do a Network retrospective, just reminiscing about all of the Cartoon Network things like Toonami. Just like used to love Toonami and Saturday nights, just like waiting for the anime to start and stuff. That's how Dragon Ball Z became popular, was Toonami on Cartoon Network. And that created the anime boom, where then everybody was like into Zatch Bell, Yu-Gi-Oh, and that and Adult Swim, because like Adult Swim did Yu Yu Hakusho and Samurai Champloo, and all those other shows and stuff. Cowboy Bebop too, I think. But anyway, socials.
Just jumped right into that.
You can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. Please follow us at The First Ones to Die on all social platforms. You can email us thefirstones2die@gmail.com. We would love to hear your input, questions, feedback. Speaking of feedback, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast listener, go ahead and rate us 5 stars and leave us a review. It would help us out a lot. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, and subscribe. Jerome.
You can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram, as well as at Robozoo Media and at Jerome_the_show to see other stuff I'm working on creatively. And I'm gonna get this right because I keep getting it wrong. My actual story actually doesn't come from DC Comics. The DC New Talent Showcase comes out May 30th. Finally, I've nailed down the date. May 30th is the actual release date of that story. And also pick up DC Power #1. They just did a second printing because it sold out with the first printing. So that's awesome. So if you haven't gotten a chance to read it, read it. I have my copy. It's amazing. It's got some of the other writers from the Milestone Initiative in it, both writers and artists in it, doing some great work. So pick up DC Power #1 at your local comic book shop right now. It is available. And then, May 30th, pick up DC New Talent Showcase Milestone Initiative to read my story, and as well as all the other ones from the other Milestone Initiative folks. So yeah. And also be on the lookout on the YouTube channel for other content that you can't get on our audio streaming platforms for The First Ones to Die. Stuff like book reviews, mini reviews, gaming content, so much other stuff. So subscribe so you can be in the know of when that stuff comes out. And hit the notification bell as well.
Little bell. You can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok. If you want to see more of Cheddar biting me, that would be a great place to see all of that. You can also find the podcast at The First One to Die, where I post little clips of the episode, what we might be reviewing next, and just, my own little critiques of movies or shows that I'm watching or attempting to watch.
Nice.
And as for next week, are we doing
TBD?
Do we not know?
Tune in for something.
We'll be here. Just come join us.
We will. Yes. You just, when you're listening to us, it's just, you love to be with us. We could be talking about the color of the moon, and you would have a good time.
The moon. Is it cheese? Is it not? Who knows? Only one way to find out. Tune in for one of our podcast episodes.
Next week. All right. Color of the moon.
That was a long way to say bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.